all to be aware of is that I am recording this class. If you have a question and you're unable to say it, please feel free to enter it into the chat log. I will read your question out loud so that I can respond to it and that the recording will get it as well. At the end of the class, if you would like a copy of the class that you just attended, let me know and I will in fact email it to you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. As a beginner's class, we're going to be focusing on the appointment book, the point of sale, and commissions. So starting with the appointment book, the first thing we need to do is look at this button right here that says book. Now there are actually 3 different types of appointment books in the system. There's the day view, the week view, and the month view screen. In this class, we're going to be talking about the day view and the week view screen. So we're going to start with the day view. And to get there, we simply left click on this book button. That opens up our day view window. And our day view window shows all of the staff that are working today. If there's just a few of you, maybe 3 people or 4, your screen may look something like this, or even something like this with only 6 of you. In my case, I've got 31 in the system, and I'm showing 15 at a time. Well, 13 in this case, excuse me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to book an appointment. How do I book an appointment in the software, in the day view screen? Well, it's really very simple. The first thing I need to do is choose a customer. And I can do that with this button here that says client in the upper left-hand corner. If I left click on this button, I can choose somebody that's currently in my database. If I right click on that same button, I can add somebody brand new that is not currently in my database. So left click and I can use these buttons, or I can simply type with my keyboard. So if I wanted to find somebody whose last name started with, let's say, R-O, I could hit R-O select, and everybody whose last name starts with R-O will appear. The more you put in, the shorter the list will be. So for instance, if I put in R-O-B-B select, again, only those people whose last name starts with R-O-B-B will appear. The more information, the shorter the list. You can also type, as I said. So I could do something like Wiggins, and then hit enter on my keyboard, and everybody whose last name is Wiggins will appear. Okay? All right, so once we have a list of the people that we're looking for, and somewhere on there is the specific person we're looking for, we simply click on the name of that person, like Janet Wiggins. So now I've got Janet here in this field, and I can now choose the group of services that I offer. Now your groups are user defined, so they may be different than mine. So if I were to choose something like hair, for instance, notice my screen just changed because only the people that provide hair services will appear. If I choose nails, again, only the people that provide nail services appear. Once I have chosen my group, I'm able to go to services and choose a specific service, like a French manicure. And then I can choose the person that I want to book with. I've got Kathy, Maureen, Michelle, Melinda, Leslie, and Anna to choose from. You'll notice that Melinda's name is highlighted, however. The reason that Melinda's name is highlighted is because the last time Janet Wiggins got a French manicure, it was Melinda who provided the service. And because she's working today, her name is highlighted. Now, that doesn't mean I have to book with her, but it's a nice note to know that the last time Janet came in and got a French manicure, it was with Melinda. So I am going to book it with Melinda at 11 o'clock. So under Melinda's column, there's the 11 o'clock row right here. So I simply match up the column with the row, just like so, and I left click to block out the time. Once I've blocked out the time, anywhere within that block out, I can right click to choose what type of customer she is. So did she ask for Melinda? That's a request. She doesn't care who she sees? That's a no type. So I'm going to say request, and the appointment is booked. So let's do that again. I'm going to choose a customer. I'm going to choose a group, choose a service, and book this time with Maureen at 10 o'clock, and the appointment is booked. Now that's what we call single-tiered booking. Now we're going to do double-tiered booking. I'm going to choose another customer, whoever they may be. We'll go with my Ebert here. And this time, I'm going to choose a massage. Notice, again, my group changed. Only my massage therapists appear, as well as any rooms that massages can be done in and any equipment that might be needed for those massages. So I'm going to choose a hot stone. No, I'm going to choose a head 90. And I'm going to book it with Michelle at 12 o'clock. So I left click to block out the time, right click to choose what type of customer she is, And now notice it asks me, what room is this being done in? And I'll choose the herbal room and accept. So this is two-tiered or double-tiered booking. I've booked my person and I've booked my room. So my here is booked with Michelle in the herbal room. That's two-tiered booking. And I happen to notice that Michelle is booked for an additional 15 minutes at the end of this service for cleanup. Now I'm going to do three-tiered booking. I'm going to choose another customer. We'll go with Karen Daly. Please book 1 hour and 30 minutes straight for a full highlight and haircut. Good to know. But we're not going to do a highlight and haircut right now, so I'm not going to worry about that note. So I've got Karen Daly. I'm going to stay in massage, and I'm going to choose my Hot Stone 60. And I'm going to book that with Anna at 12 o'clock. Again, what room? I'll choose the Elixir room this time. And now it says what equipment? And I'm going to choose my black stones. So now I've got Miss Daly booked with Anna in the Elixir room with the black stones. Kind of like a game of Clue. That's three-tiered booking. So in a salon environment, you're almost exclusively going to have single-tiered booking. However, in a spa environment, you may very well have two-tiered or three-tiered booking. And the reason for that is because often in the spa environment, you are also booking a room and perhaps even booking equipment. Now, you may think in a salon environment that you may need something called a double booking, or a single process is what another way to think of it. So for instance, I'm going to choose a customer here. Let's go with Joanna. And I'll go back to my hair group. And this time I'm going to choose a service like a, let's go with a color one step. I think that's got, I'm going to book that with Abigail at 12 o'clock. Notice this gap here in the middle. This gap actually tells me that there is a processing time. So here I have my chemical time, my processing time, and then my finish time. During this processing time, I could book another appointment, like, for instance, a half-hour haircut or something like that. And I could stick that right in there with somebody else, another client, I mean. Okay? So that's booking standard appointments in the day view screen. Now, what about that week view screen I told you about? Well, the week view, you go right up to that same button, but instead of left-clicking, we're going to right-click. And when we right-click, we're able to choose individual staff members. So if I choose Jessica, I'm looking at her schedule from today for the next 2 weeks. If I choose Debbie, now I'm looking at her schedule for today plus the next 2 weeks. Now, I can also use my plus and minus signs here to add columns. So by adding my plus sign, I can add up to 31 columns on a single screen. If I use my minus, I can actually reduce the number of columns that I'm looking at. So now that I've got Debbie here, I'm going to choose a service because only the services that Debbie provides will be listed here. I don't have to choose a group. So I can choose something like a Brazilian wax, and then I can choose my client. So I'll go with let's say Sandy here, and I'll book it on Friday, September 22nd at 1 o'clock. Choose my room, and the appointment is booked. Sandy Hackett has been booked for Brazilian wax with Debbie on September 22nd. Now, what about rescheduling or unbooking? In the week view screen, I just check this box, reschedule, and I'm able to move any appointment I need. Like Sandy here, I can move her to 12 o'clock on Saturday the 23rd. Choose my room, and the appointment is booked. Or drag and drop her over here to Saturday the 30th, and choose my room, and she's booked. I can do the same thing in the day view screen. So I could click on someone like Karen Daly here. Well, not click on her, excuse me. Choose reschedule first. Then I can left click on her and move it to 10 o'clock and release. Choose my room and booked. Oh, in this case requires equipment as well. Choose the black stones. Easy as pie. Now let's go back to our hair services. So we've got, for instance, I've got my French manicure here. I think that's a single. So I can grab that, drag it over here to Lynn, or take it to a different time entirely, and just move it around all I want, just by left-clicking, holding onto it, and releasing. As easy as pie. Now, what if they wanted to move it for a different day? I could get to Maureen's week view just as easily as going to her name, right-clicking, and selecting Go to Week View. Now I'm in Maureen's week view, and check my reschedule, bring her to September 22nd, bring her to September 26th, maybe bring her to a different time on the 27th, 1 o'clock, bring her back up to 9 o'clock today or 1 o'clock today. Really easy. And to go back to any one of these days, I right-click on the day and select Go Today, and I will be taken to that specific day. So there I am again. So that's rescheduling an appointment. What about unbooking an appointment? I can right-click on any appointment and select Unbook. And when I select Unbook, it'll ask me, are you sure you want to do this? If I say yes, the appointment will vanish off of my screen. It will have been unbooked. If I say no, nothing will happen to it. Also, you'll notice when I right-clicked, I have Unbook All this day. So I have Unbook and Unbook All this day. If I select Unbook All this day, some people get afraid. They think I'm going to unbook all of the appointments that I have that day, all on my appointment book. Well, of course not. This is only for Karen Daly. It's only for the appointment that you right-clicked on for that particular client. So if Miss Daly had like a day of beauty where she had 3 or 4 different appointments today, I could right-click on any one of her appointments and select Unbook, and I would just unbook that one appointment. But if I selected Unbook All this day, it would unbook all of the appointments that Miss Daly has. Nothing else would be unbooked. By the way, as I'm going through this, I speak rather rapidly, and I'm trying to get through a lot of information in a very short period of time. So please be sure, if you have questions, don't wait for me to pause. If you have a question, just ask your question right in the chat, or if you can speak it, go ahead and speak it. I don't think any of you, though, are able to do that right now, so feel free to just type in the chat whatever your question is, and I will be sure to pay attention to the chat log so that I can answer that for you. Okay, so now we've talked about booking, rescheduling, and unbooking appointments. If there are no questions on any of that, then the next thing we're going to talk about is standing appointments. How to book a standing appointment. So I'm going to click on the button here that says standing appointments, and that brings up my standing appointment window. Now, you don't have to be in the appointment book to actually use this. I'll exit out of the appointment book altogether. I could go to appointments here and select standing appointments, and there's that same window. Or if I was in sales, I could go to book appointments and select standing appointments, and there it is again. So whether you're in the appointment book or not, the standing appointments window is the same from wherever you've got to it. So I'm going to go back here to appointments, and I'm going to select standing appointments. So here's my window, and now I need to book a standing appointment. Well, first of all, what is a standing appointment? Well, for instance, let's say that you have somebody that comes in every other Tuesday at 11 o'clock. That's a standing appointment. So I'm going to choose a customer, whoever they may be. I'll go with Jennifer Tabola here. And now I get to choose who do they want to see. So I'm going to say they want to see Debbie. And what service would Jennifer like? I'm going to say that she would like to get a back facial every 2 weeks. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to ask you, I apologize. I'm going to ask you to hold on for just one quick moment for me. Sorry about that, everybody. I've got another client that's trying to get into the class, and they didn't have the proper code, so we're going to, I'm sure we'll hear from them in just a moment. Okay, so Jennifer Tabola wants to see Debbie, and she's going to get herself a back facial. And she'd like to do it every other Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, whatever. We choose what type of client she is. Again, did she ask for Debbie? That's a request. Now, when is she coming in? Let's say she's going to come in on Wednesdays. I can use my plus or minus to advance 1 day at a time. Plus, now it's Wednesday the 20th. Plus, now it's Thursday the 21st. Minus, now it's Wednesday the 20th again. Minus again, and it's today the 19th. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say Wednesday the 20th. By the way, I could have also clicked on calendar to jump further. But I'm going to go ahead and just say tomorrow is going to be her first appointment. And what time does she want to come in? So I can now choose a time that she would like to come in. She wants to come in at noon. And how often is she going to come in? Well, I'm going to say she's going to come in every 2 weeks, starting tomorrow. And my number of visits, I can book from 1 appointment all the way to 256 appointments. Now understand that if I'm actually doing 256 appointments, remember there's 52 weeks in a year, and she's doing this every other year. Excuse me, every other week. So with 256 appointments every other week, that would be 10 years worth of appointments. We don't need that. That's silly. So I'm going to select a dozen appointments that I'm going to book for her. Her last appointment then will be on February 21st, 2018. Now I can press show. And now this is a very important step that you don't want to miss. I'm going to press show. And the reason that we don't want to miss this is because of the status. We need to look at this status. If it says okay, that means that that appointment is okay to book. But if there are X's, that means there's a problem with that appointment. Maybe Debbie's off that day, or maybe Debbie already has something booked. So we can either say, well, I'm sorry, but your first 3 appointments won't be able to be on at 12 o'clock. Maybe we could start it on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, or maybe we could do it at 1 o'clock or something like that. We could do that. We could make those changes, or we could simply make changes to these 3, leaving all the others, because as you can see, all the others say okay. So maybe that's what they want. They say, no, I'm okay with 12 o'clock, so let's just change those first 3. So I'm going to click on the first one, and I can choose an alternate operator, or perhaps Debbie again. Now, would I choose Debbie again? Well, maybe Debbie is who she really wants, but Debbie's not available at 12. But if Debbie was off that day, her name wouldn't be here. But because her name is here, that means she is working that day. She's just not available at 12. So by choosing Debbie, I can see what other times she is available. So now I can say to Jennifer, well, Debbie could see you on the 20th at 11. Does that work for you? She says, yes, click. And now it's at 11. Let's go to our next one. We'll choose Debbie again, do the same thing. And finally, our third one, choose Debbie again, and again, the same thing. So now her first 3 appointments are going to be at 11 o'clock, and all the others will be at 12. Now, I've got another button here that says auto standing. You don't have to use this. If I do not have this checked, in other words, if I leave it gray and I'm booking 12 appointments, it will simply book these 12 appointments. But if I have this checked and I say 12 appointments, yes, it'll book these 12 appointments, but every time she uses one, it will add another at the end so that she's always 12 appointments out. Okay, so that's what auto standing is. I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to go ahead and say book. It asks me what room I want to use. I'm going to say the herbal room, and the appointments have been booked. So let's take a look, shall we? Let's go to tomorrow, and we should be able to see Jennifer Tabola for a back facial with Debbie at 11 o'clock. There she is. And look, the reason that she couldn't book at 12 o'clock was because she already had a back facial with Penny Rabinkoff at that same time. So let's go forward 2 weeks plus a day, and there's Jennifer Tabola on October 4th, followed by Penny again. And let's do it again. Let's go forward 4 weeks plus a day. There she is again, and there's Penny's last appointment, which is why if we go forward 6 weeks plus a day, we'll see that Jennifer is now at 12 o'clock because Miss Rabinkoff is no longer occupying the 12 o'clock slot. So they all booked very nicely, just like we wanted them to. That's standing appointments, okay? So we've briefly discussed booking, rescheduling, unbooking. We've talked about the day view and the week view, and now we've talked about standing appointments. The next thing we're going to talk about, unless there are any questions, is the multi-book. So the multi-book, I'm going to click on this button right here. This allows you to book packages. So we can book packages that we have already created, or we can create a package on the fly. So let's say I want to go with one that I've already created. I'm going to go with the We Will Rock You package. So I've chosen the name of my package that I've already created, and I can put in a starting and an end date. So if they want it for today, I could just leave it on the 19th. Or I could move it to tomorrow, perhaps, on the 20th. So I click here, and now it's September 20th. I could even do it for a date range from the 20th to, say, the 23rd, and click here. Now it's from September 20th to September 23rd. But no, I want it to be from the 20th to the 20th. This is just going to be for tomorrow, the We Will Rock You package. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit go. When I do that, it will find every available option for me. And once I have an option that the customer is happy with, I can simply stop the time. I can hit stop at any time. So let's go ahead and stop this and say, here's a good one that I found. And let's take a look. Maureen is going to do the acrylic fills and the bang trim. Then Michelle is going to do the makeup and the crystal scrub. So if that works for the customer, I can go ahead and book it. So I hit book, choose my customer, whoever they may be. We'll go with Michelle Backus here. If any rooms are required for the makeup in case, and they're booked. So let's take a look. That was the 20th, and let's see my whole screen here so I can see. There we go. Okay, so Michelle Backus is with Maureen for an acrylic fills. She's also with Maureen for a bang trim. Then she's with Michelle for makeup and with Michelle for a crystal scrub. Probably not the best order of things. And if any rooms were required, you can see that there's Miss Backus in the Elixir room for the makeup as well. Okay, so that is multi-booking. That was with something that was already created for me, the We Will Rock You package. What if it was a package that I hadn't created yet? I go to multi-book and I choose multi-service. Now I can create a package on the fly. So for instance, I can choose a service like a back facial and stick it in with any operator. Or I could choose a specific operator like Kathy here and choose a service that she offers. So I'm going to go with a cut and color and stick that in there. So now I've got anybody can do the back facial. Kathy is going to do the cut and color. Then I'll choose somebody else like Matthew, and I'll choose a service. After the cut and color, we're going to do a, I don't know, let's go with the face highlights. Stick that in there as well and accept. Now we can hit go again. And it will simply find every available option for me for, in this case, today, because that's what I've selected, find one that works for the customer. Let's take a look. Christian's going to do the back facial. Kathy's going to do the cut and color. Matthew's going to do the facial highlights. Does that work for the customer? Starting at 11, then 12, then 1:30? Yes. So then we can book it. Choose our customer, whoever they may be, and the appointment is booked. And that's for today. And there he is. Okay? That's multi-service booking, or the multi-book. So we've talked about booking an appointment, single-tiered, two-tiered, and three-tiered. We've talked about rescheduling appointments. We've talked about the day view and the week view, unbooking appointments, and the standing appointments and the month view. We are now done with the appointment book for this beginner's class. Unless there are any questions, I'm going to take us now to the point of sale. And Lynn, I see that you've arrived. If you can hear my voice, please let me know. If you're not able to speak and you can hear my voice, you can use the chat log. Okay, so now we're going to go to the point of sale. So the first thing I'm going to do is stay here in the appointment book. I can right-click on any one of these appointments and select Check Out. See my pop-up message again, because you always see a pop-up message if you have one set up for the customer. And now I've got Karen Daly, saw Anna for a hot stone 60 for $60. Was that Lynn that just joined us? Lynn, are you able to hear my voice? Lynn, if you are able to hear my voice but you're not able to respond, please use the chat to ask any questions that you might have. I do want you to be aware, Lynn, that we have unfortunately already covered the appointment book, and now we're in the point of sale. Okay? All right. So what I've done is, from the appointment book, let's go ahead and clear all of this and exit out. I right-clicked on a particular appointment and I selected Check Out. By doing that, it opens my point of sale with that ticket already filled in. That's one way to do it. Let me clear that again and exit out. This time I'm going to get out of the appointment book altogether, and I'm going to go into sales. Lynn, one more thing I want you to be aware of. I am recording this class, so everything you missed, you can watch the very same class. When this class is over, if you'd like, I can email you a copy of the class that you just attended, okay? All right, so now we're here in the appointment book. I mean, in the point of sale. Anybody who has an appointment will also be listed here. And they will be listed in one of two ways, either alphabetically or in order of checkout. I have them set up in order of checkout. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Miss Daly here. There's my pop-up message. I'm going to go ahead and clear that so I don't have to see that anymore. Karen Daly saw Anna for a hot stone 60 for $60. Now I want to process a sale. Is this all I'm doing? I can go to payment and simply take her money now. Or maybe while she was there, she was upsold and I didn't put it on the appointment book. If I had put it on the appointment book, when I chose Miss Daly, it would have had all of her appointments here. However, maybe she was upsold without being on the appointment book. So I can select a service and say while she was here, she also saw Christian and got a bang trim. So now I've got, she saw Anna for a hot stone 60 and she saw Christian for a bang trim. And I can just keep adding services if I want to. I can also add retail to this very same ticket. I can do it many different ways. If I have a barcode scanner, I can simply scan my product at this time, as long as you have entered it into the system. If you don't have a barcode scanner, you can look up a product by SKU number or by name. So if I want to do it by SKU number, right here in this Retail Ready field, I just type the SKU number. Choose who made the sale, like Lizette. Say Karen Daly was sold by Lizette just an all-in-one shampoo. It puts in my local tax, and I'm ready to go. Let me remove that item. Maybe I don't know the SKU number, and I don't have a barcode scanner. So then I can press the Retail button, and I can look a product up by name. So I could do something like this and type in just, or as much as I want, or as little as I want, hit enter, and everything with that in the name is going to appear. So I've got my Blemish Adjust Cream, I've got my Just an All-in-One Shampoo, and I've got my OPI Just a Little Rusty. So I'm going to select my Just an All-in-One Shampoo and accept that. Choose who made the sale. I can stick with Lizette or choose somebody else. I will choose Lizette and last. Or I could hit more and choose another product. In this case, I'm going to choose last. So now I've got two services and a product all on the same ticket. The next thing I'm going to do is add a gratuity. So Miss Daly would like to give a tip to Anna and Christian. I can click on gratuity and put a dollar amount in for Christian and accept, and then click on gratuity again and put a dollar amount in for Anna and accept. Or I can simply put in a percentage, like say 15, and apply the percentage, and it will distribute it and do the math for me. So Christian's going to get $1.50 and Anna's going to get $9. Now I can go to payment, and I can accept payment in a lot of different ways. I can choose cash. I can choose check and put in a check number. I can choose credit card. If you are processing credit cards directly through the software through Vantiv, our preferred provider, then you'll see it looking like this. If, however, you are using a provider outside of the software, you're using a terminal that is not connected to the software with somebody else, which is fine. But if you do that, it's going to look like this. And you simply choose what type of card they gave you. This way your reporting is accurate, even though you didn't actually process directly through the software. You can also use a gift certificate or gift card. Type in a gift certificate number here or swipe a gift card. You can only accept payment in a gift certificate or gift card if that gift certificate or gift card was sold through the software. So if you're selling gift certificates and gift cards through a third-party system, you're not going to be able to accept them in the software this way. Okay? So you sell them through software and you can use them in the software. We do not have any third-party authorization. So there are no charges whatsoever for using gift cards or gift certificates through the software. Next, we have this one here, this 1, 2, 3, 4. These are called series. What is a series? A series is the same service sold multiple times all at once. Let's say, for instance, that somebody comes in every 4 weeks for a men's haircut, and it's $25. Well, if I wanted 10 of those at one time, well, $250 would be 10 of them, but maybe I'm offering it for $225, basically one for free. So I could actually sell 10 haircuts at one time for $225, and if the customer bought that, then it would be listed here. And any series that they have that they own on file would be listed. So then I could choose that series as a method of payment, and it would reduce that service to zero and reduce my ticket. If that was the only thing they got, they wouldn't owe me anything anymore. Of course, if it was just part of the ticket, then they would owe me the balance. But that service would have been wiped out because they had already prepaid for it. Also, we have on account. On account would normally be used if a customer gave you a deposit, so you actually owe them money. So then by selecting on account, it will reduce this amount from the money they have deposited with you. Also, we have the room charge. If you are part of a hotel or resort, you can actually bill directly to the hotel folio so that your customer can pay when they leave the hotel or resort. You do need the hotel interface for that if any of you are part of a hotel or resort. Then we have the traveler's checks. Same as personal checks. It works precisely the same way. You simply put in the check number and accept. The difference here is that in the closing and in reporting, traveler's checks and personal checks are separated. But as far as how they're used in the point of sale, they are identical. Next, we have Other, which allows you to create your own unique methods of payment. So if you accept some other form of payment other than cash, check, credit card, gift certificate, series, deposit on account, room charge, or traveler's check, then you can create it here. The most common other form of payment would be something like barter or trade. Your electrician comes in and does your wiring, so you give him a free massage, or you give his wife a free hairdo, or whatever it may be. So you could do something like barter and then type in electrician. By processing this transaction this way, your staff can still get their commissions. You still show that Karen Daly came in on this day at this time and got these services, etc. So all of the history is there, so your reporting is accurate, but you didn't actually take in money, so it's not going to mess with your drawer. And then finally, we have rewards points, which we really don't talk about in this beginner's class. The rewards points we focus on in the advanced class, but I do want you to be aware what rewards points are. Think of it like airline miles. Your customers are able to actually earn points for purchasing gift certificates or products or services or giving you referrals. They can then turn around to use those points to get discounts in the future or even to get freebies in the future. Okay, so all of those methods of payment are available to you. I'm going to go ahead and choose cash, and I'm going to say she gives me $110 and accept. And now it makes a change. I could make this blue so that a receipt will be generated. When this receipt is generated, it's either going to be emailed directly to the customer or it's going to print out. That is based on the customer preference. So for instance, if I went into the client information, I have email receipts here. If I had her email address and this was checked blue, it would have automatically emailed her receipt instead of printing it out. If that was not the case, then it would have automatically printed it out. And if this is gray, it will do neither. It will not email or print out the receipt. In this case, because it's gray, it's not going to generate a receipt and accept. It reminds me that change is due. At this point, if you're using hardware, the cash drawer should have opened and your receipt should have printed if a receipt was being generated. All of that information is now stored in the client file. Let's take a look. Let's go to Miss Daly again. I'm going to pull up her client file. That was Karen Daly. And let's go into her history. And you can see that on September 19th, she saw Christian and got a bang trim. And she saw Anna and got a Hot Stone 60. I can also see that on that same day, she purchased the Justin All-in-One shampoo from Lizette. Any one of these can be clicked on because they're all the same transaction number. Any one of these can be clicked on, and I can view that transaction. So I can see everything that happened. Anna got a Hot Stone 60, gave her a Hot Stone 60. Christian gave her a bang trim. They both got gratuities, $1.50 for Christian and $9 for Anna. Lizette sold her the Justin All-in-One shampoo. There was a sales tax involved. She paid with cash, and she got $6.56 in change. My transaction is there. Yes, you can modify a transaction if you make a mistake, and we discussed that in the advanced class, but not in this beginner's class. Okay? All right, so we have now processed a sale. Now what we're going to do is we're going to close our drawer. So the first thing we need to do at the end of the day, after we have processed all of our transactions, and it's time to close, we're going to go to Register. And from Register, we're going to select Close. Now the first thing that comes up is the closing wizard, and it's asking us to make sure that we've done our paid-ins and our paid-outs before we continue. Paid-ins and paid-outs, we go into detail in the advanced class, but I just want you to be aware, very, very briefly, if I select paid-ins, I can put in a description and an amount. This is telling me that I brought in some money into the drawer that was not in a standard transaction. Like if the boss gave me $100 and said, put that in the drawer. Well, my drawer is going to be over if I don't have a record of that. That's what a paid-in is. A paid-out, essentially, the boss came up to me and said, give me $20 out of the drawer. I'm going to go buy coffee. Put in the description, the amount, post it, or post and open the drawer. I can now take $20 out of the drawer, give it to the boss, and because there is a record of it, my drawer won't be short $20 because the drawer now recognizes that $20 has left it. That is your paid ins and paid outs. If you haven't done any of that day, don't worry about it. Just skip it and go to continue. Now it wants to know, okay, how much money am I leaving in the drawer for tomorrow? So I open my drawer and I do my count. I've got, I don't know, let's say $283, and I say I want to leave $50 in there. Well, then I would have $233 that I'm going to be taking out of the drawer because I'm leaving $50 in. This is cash now. The float does not concern itself with credit cards or checks or things like that. This is cash that you're leaving in the drawer for the following day. And I press accept. So now I've got my deposit slip. $148.44 is what I actually physically took out of the drawer so that I could leave $50 in the drawer, which means that I actually had $198.44 in the drawer because I'm taking $148.44 out and I'm leaving $50 in. I can put in a deposit number if I want. I could print out a slip if I want, or I could go ahead and just accept what it's telling me. Now it's giving me my closing report, and it's telling me everything that I did. So I began my register today at $50. I brought $148.44 in, which means that there was at one time $198.44 in, but I am leaving $50 as a float. My final register total should be 50. My over short is clean. How much money did I bring in cash, in checks, in credit cards, in traveler's checks, in gift certificates, on account payments, series payments, hotel charges, other payments, and rewards points in dollars? All of this is going to be listed for me, giving me my totals, my tips, the money that I have in there, any voids and amount of those as well. So then I'm left with my deposits and then my sales breakdown. Now you might look at this and say, wait a minute, you've got gift certificates here and here. What's the difference? Well, this is what I sold. So if I sold $300 worth of gift certificates today, then this would say $300. But if I accepted $50 in gift certificates today as for a purchase, then this would say $50. So this is what I actually brought in money. This is what I sold. That's different. Okay? All right. So once I'm satisfied with my closing report, I hit accept, and I'm done. I've closed my drawer successfully. I had a zero balance. I was not over. I was not short. I'm perfect. Now we're going to talk about commissions, unless there are any questions on the point of sale. And yes, there's a lot to the point of sale that we did not discuss. We didn't get into the detail of the points. We did not talk about transaction notes. We didn't show you how to sell a gift certificate or sell a series or sell a membership. Things like that you can get either by contacting us directly and saying, hey, tell me about this, or you can sign up for our advanced class and things like that. But does anybody have any questions on the appointment book or the point of sale before we get to commissions? Because so far there have been no questions, so we're really flying through this class very rapidly. All right, so no questions, no problem. Let's go ahead and go into payroll, because we're going to talk about commissions now. So I'm going to go to payroll, and this brings up my payroll module. This is where in the payroll module, I am able to add employees, brand new. I've already added 9 employees. You know how I know? Because my next employee is going to be number 10. I can also view or modify employees that I've already created, like Devin Rosenthal here. But what we're talking about right now is commissions. So there are 3 different types of commissions in the system. There is sliding scale, there is dollar amount, and there is straight percentages. So I'm going to go to employees, and I'm going to select commission schedules, and I'm going to go to sliding commissions. So the first one we're going to talk about is sliding scales. How does it work? Well, I get to choose an employee. If they're also an operator, I can assign them as that. Then I can put in a dollar amount for service sales. From this amount to this amount, they get this percentage. And from this amount to this amount, they get this percentage. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Let's pull up Christopher here. He's operator Christian. And from $0 to $1,499 in services, he gets 50%. From $1,499 and a penny to $2,000, he gets 55%. From $2,000 and a penny to $2,500, he gets 60%, etc. This is my sliding scale, up to 6 different scales for services. Then I have my retail sales, and I've got this. It works the exact same way, but this is for sales of product, of course. From $0 to $500, 5%. From $500 and a penny to $750, 7.5%. $750 and a penny to $1,500, 10%, etc. Again, up to 6 different scales. That's one way to set up commission, sliding scale. Another way is standard rate. So I can go down here to my commission rates and go to my service rates. I can now choose a specific person, like, for instance, Maureen. And then I can say for all services, she gets 55% and accept. Well, that's one way to do it. Easy peasy. Now she gets 55% on every service. But maybe that's not exactly right. Maybe on most services she gets 55%, so I still want to do that to save myself a little bit of time. But now I can go into the individual services and say when she does an anti-curl with haircut, she gets 45%. So now they're all 55%, but that one. And I can say that when she does a back facial, she gets 40% and accept. So now what I've done is I've said she gets 55% on most things, but then I've changed some percentages on individual items. Now, after I've taken a lot of time, perhaps, because you might have a lot of services, to set up the commissions for a particular person, what if I've got somebody else in here, like Matthew, who gets the exact same commission as Maureen? Do I have to go through that whole process again, especially if there were a number of things that needed individual commissions? No. So I can go to my commission schedule, my commission rates, go to my service rates, and I can say, Matthew is going to be made this, Maureen. Wait, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, there we go. Matthew, for all services, is going to be the same as Maureen. So without having then to do that same process over again, I'm simply duplicating Maureen's commission schedule for Matthew. And I press accept, and it's all set, ready to go. Now, we're going to do dollar amount commissions. Employees, commission rates, but this time instead of going to service rates, I'm going to go to service dollar amounts. Now I can choose somebody like Angie and say when Angie does an anti-curl with blow dry, which is $150, she gets $75 and accept. When Angie does a back facial, which is $65, she gets $32.50. Now you might say, well, that's just 50%. Why not just make her 50%? Well, a lot of consultants now want people to go with dollar amounts instead of percentages. Why? Because if you raise your prices, Angie just got a raise if she's at 50%. But if she's at a dollar amount, she stays at that dollar amount until you change it. So she doesn't get an instant raise just because you changed your prices. She's already agreed that it's fair to give her that amount for that particular service. And maybe the reason you changed your prices was because your rent went up, your electric bill went up, your insurance went up, things that have nothing to do with her. But you need to bring more money in, so you raise your prices. She's not getting any additional money, so she's still getting this. That's dollar amount. Okay? So those are 3 different types of commissions that you can set up. Along with your service rates, you can also do your retail rates. So it's a standard percentage. You simply choose who it is, and then you can go by category, either all categories. So I've said Maureen is going to get 15% on all categories. Or I could say on the color category, however, she's going to get 10% and accept. So on everything else, she's getting 15%. But on color, she's getting 10%. Once that's all set up, then when I go into my reports, I can then go to sales, operator reports, commission reports, and all of my different commission reports are going to be listed here. And you're going to choose which report you want to run based on what type of commission you've set up. So whether it's standard percentages, like our commission sales analysis and our combined commission report, and our net commission on services and on service sales, and on service sales with back bar, or if it's a dollar amount, like on service sales by dollar or percent, or if it's on a sliding scale, without back bar, with back bar, daily sliding, high scale, high scale without and with back bar, etc. So there's lots of different reports to run, and the reports are going to make sense based on what commission you've structured for that client, for that employee. And please remember, you can actually set up all 3 different types of commissions for an individual employee. And then, depending on what report you run, that may be a very different amount. Sliding scale will certainly be different than a standard rate. Okay, does anybody have any questions on anything we've covered today? Well, we're about to finish about 10 minutes early. So let me say, if there's no questions, is there anybody that would like this class emailed to them? I know, Lynn, you want that emailed to you. And if you don't mind, let me just, I've got Lynn at Ritual Hair Design. Is that the email you want me to use? How do you delete a duplicate name? Okay, not something that we would normally go over in a beginner's class, but with time here, absolutely. So you've got a duplicate name. We go into the client and we find that. So first, let's see if we can find one, or something close anyway. Okay, so I've got Alice Johnson here and I've got Alyssa Johnson. Let's pretend they're the same person, okay? So what I need is their numbers. Okay, so I'm going to click on them. I'm going to click on Alice Johnson. Her number is 3692. So I'm going to write that down, 3692. And now let me pull up the other Miss Johnson. Okay, Gail, let me get that down. Bon Air Med Spa. Gmail. Okay, Gail, I'll be sure to get it to you. All right, so now I'm going to find the other Johnson. And we said that was Alyssa. And her number is 20907. Okay, so I've got 2 numbers now. I've got 3692 and I've got 2097. Who's the one I want to keep? Well, let's pretend I want to keep Alyssa. I could have picked Alice, but let's say I want to pick Alyssa. So I'm going to go here to Clients. And then from Clients, I'm going to select Merge Client History. Now, enter the client number of the client to keep the history. So this is the one that I'm going to keep. So I said I wanted Alyssa, so that's 2097. Then I've got my client that's going to be merged into that client. Oh, did I copy that down wrong? It wasn't 2097? Hang on. Alyssa. Oh, 20907. 20907. I did do it wrong. I'm glad I checked. And I'm glad it showed me the name. All right. Oh, and Jill, of course, you would also like it emailed to you. No problem. Get that. Okay, and now let's go back. We're going to go to Clients again. We're going to go to Merge Client History. And this time, we want the client that we're going to keep. That's 20907. There's Alyssa Johnson. And the client that we want to merge, 3692. Enter. That's Alice Johnson. So I typed in the number, hit Enter. Alyssa came up. I typed in the number, hit Enter. Alice came up. And now I'm going to say, merge these clients. You are preparing to delete client merged from the database. All historical references will be lost. Do you want to continue? And you might say, wait a minute. That's scary. What do you mean all historical references will be lost? Well, we're deleting this customer. Of course, they're not going to have a history. They're not even going to have a file. However, all of their history is going to be added to Alyssa Johnson's file because they're the same person, okay? So you're not losing history. You're just losing this customer. They won't exist anymore. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to do that. The requested action has been completed successfully. I have now merged the same client who had multiple files into one. Okay? You're welcome, certainly. Any other questions at all before I end the class? And I'm going to be sending this class to Lynn. I'm also going to be sending this class to Gail, and I'm going to be sending it to Jill. Any other questions? None? Okay. Well, then I want to thank all of you for spending time with me today. I I always say it, and I'm going to say it again. The people who know the most about the software are the people who are happiest with it. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day to learn a little bit more about your software. And have a wonderful day, everybody. And you should be able to expect that email with the link to this class that you just took probably within the next 45 minutes or less. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye. Cheers to you too, Lynn.